A very good morning, students. Today I am going to explain problem number 7, and this question was asked in the year 2017 question paper from Bangalore University. Let's get into the problem. Das and Boss entered into joint venture. Here there are two parties, one is Das and one is Boss. They entered into a joint venture and they're sharing profit and losses in the ratio of 3:2, and they opened joint bank account by depositing 40,000 each. Here Das and Boss both they opened a joint bank account. In joint bank account, Das deposited 40,000 and Boss also deposited 40,000. So this is the first transaction. I will write here what's the first transaction. Das and Boss deposited cash into joint bank. So Das 40,000 and Boss also 40,000. They deposited money into joint bank account. So this is the first transaction. Now the next one. Das purchased 800 kg of an item at rupees 60 per kg and his expenses were rupees 13,000. So this is the transaction number 2. So what's the transaction number 2? So Das purchased 800 kg of an item at rupees 60 per kg. Then what's the amount? 800 kg of an item per kg is rupees 60. So 800 multiplied into 60. So you will get 48,000 rupees. 48,000. And his expenses were rupees 13,000. So this is the second transaction. Now come to the third transaction. Boss purchased a second item of 10,000 kg at rupees 2.10 per kg and his expenses rupees 11,000. So this is the third transaction. So in third transaction, Das purchased an item of 10,000 kg. Per kg is rupees 2 rupee 10 paisa. What's the total amount? 10,000 kg multiplied by 2 rupee 10 paisa per kg. So you will get 21,000 rupees. 21,000. So which means Das purchased 48,000 worth of material and Boss purchased 21,000 worth of material. So this is the transaction. I repeat. So Das purchased rupees 48,000 worth of material and Boss purchased rupees 21,000 worth of material. And Das expenses 13,000, Boss expenses 11,000. This is the transaction number 3. Now come to the next one. Expenses were met from private source and purchases were paid from bank account. So this line is very important because they are telling that expenses were met from private source. ಏನಾದರೂ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆನ್ಸಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ಅದು ನಾವು ಪ್ರೈವೇಟ್ ಅಕೌಂಟಿಂದ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ and the purchases were paid from bank account. ಏನಾದರೂ ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಯಾರು ಪೇ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ? ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಪೇ ಮಾಡಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಐ ರಿಪೀಟ್, ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆನ್ಸಸ್ ವರ್ ಮೆಟ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಪ್ರೈವೇಟ್ ಸೋರ್ಸ್. ಏನಾದರೂ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಂಡಿಚರ್ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಯಾರು ಪೇ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ? ಅವ್ರು ಪ್ರೈವೇಟ್ ಸೋರ್ಸಿಂದ ಪೇ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಇಫ್ ಎನಿ ಪರ್ಚೇಸಸ್ ವರ್ ಮೇಡ್, ಏನಾದರೂ ಪರ್ಚೇಸಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಯಾರು ಪೇ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಪೇ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಹಿಯರ್ Das purchased rupees 48,000 worth of material. So the purchases payment made through joint bank. And the expenses were met from private source. Here expenses is how much? 13,000 and this 13,000 paid by private source. Nothing but private source, nothing but here private person is who? Das. So Mr. Das. ಸೊ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಂಡಿಚರ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಅವರೇ ಪೇ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದನ್ನ ಮಾತ್ರ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಪೇ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ come to third transaction. Here also boss purchased 21,000 worth of material. So purchases were paid through joint bank account. So here joint bank, and expenses were paid from private source. Private source means boss account. This is boss, because they only said that expenses were met from private source and purchases were paid from bank account. ಏನಾದರೂ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಂಡಿಚರ್ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ಅವರ ಪ್ರೈವೇಟ್ ಅಕೌಂಟಿಗೆ ಹಾಕಿ, ಏನಾದರೂ ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಯಾರು ಪೇ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ? ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಪೇ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಥರ್ಡ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಇಸ್ ಓವರ್. Now come to next one. Boss sold 600 kg of first item at rupees 100 per kg and his selling expenses were 5,500. So the fourth transaction is boss sold 600 kg of the first item at rupees 100 per kg. So how much? 600 kg of first item at rupees 100 per kg means 600 multiplied by 100. So 60,000 rupees. So boss sold 60,000 worth of goods and his selling expenses were rupees 5,500. And next, Das sold 800 kg of second item at rupees 500 per kg and his selling expenses were rupees 6,000. So this is the last transaction. So Das sold 800 kg of second item at rupees 5 per kg. So how much? 8,000 kg multiplied by 5. So 40,000 rupees. Rupees 40,000. Rupees 40,000. And his expenses were rupees 6,000. Now the last line. All the sale proceeds were deposited into bank account, which means ನಾವೇನೇ ಸೇಲ್ ಮಾಡಲಿ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ನ ಎಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಡೆಪಾಸಿಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು? ಜಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್. ಸೊ ಸೇಲ್ ಮಾಡಿರೋ ಮನಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಯಾರು ರಿಸೀವ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ? ಜಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್. ಇಯರ್ ಬಾಸ್ ಸೋಲ್ಡ್ rupees 60,000 worth of goods. ಸೊ ಸೇಲ್ ಮಾಡಿರೋದನ್ನ ಯಾರು ರಿಸೀವ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ? ಜಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್. So here also Das sold 40,000 worth of material. So ಈ ಸೇಲ್ ಮಾಡೋದನ್ನು ಯಾರು ರಿಸೀವ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ? ಜಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್. Because they only mention all the sale proceeds were deposited into bank account. ನೀವೇನೇ ಸೇಲ್ ಮಾಡಲಿ ಅದನ್ನು ಎಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಹಾಕಬೇಕು? ಜಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕಿಗೆ ಹಾಕಬೇಕು. And the expenses were made from private source. ಅಲ್ಲೇನಾದರೂ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಂಡಿಚರ್ ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಯಾರು ಮೀಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ? ಪ್ರೈವೇಟ್ ಸೋರ್ಸ್. So here the boss selling expenses is so much 5,500. So ಈ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆನ್ಸ್ ಯಾರು ಪೇ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ? ಪ್ರೈವೇಟ್ ಸೋರ್ಸ್ ನಥಿಂಗ್ ಬಟ್ ಬಾಸ್ ಪೇ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. BOSS ಬಾಸ್. And next Das expenses is so much 6,000 and the expenses were made from private source. So here private source means Das. So ಅವನೇ ಹೇಳಿದಾನೆ ಏನೇ ಸೇಲ್ ಮಾಡಲಿ that sale proceeds should be deposited into bank account. And if any expenditure were incurred, that expenditure should be met by private source, nothing but the co-ventures only. So this is the transaction. Total 5 transactions are there. So now treat the transactions one by one. So first transaction. What's the first transaction? Das and boss deposited cash into joint bank. So here both co-venturers are depositing money into joint bank. Joint bank deposit ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. So come to joint bank account. So in joint bank account it will be receipt. So to Das, then to boss. So Das is so much. Das is 40,000 and boss also 40,000. Now cross posting, because each transaction has two aspects. One is debit, one is credit. Now cross posting in opposite side, Das and boss account. So by joint bank account, Das 40,000 and boss 40,000. So first transaction is over. Now come to second transaction. What's the second transaction? Das purchased 48,000 worth of material, and this purchases were made through joint bank account, because ಅವನೇ ಹೇಳಿದಾನೆ expenses were met from private source, purchases were paid from bank account. So here Das purchased 48,000 worth of material. So purchases payment should be made through joint bank. So here this is expenses in joint venture account to joint bank. How much? 48,000 rupees. 48,000 rupees. 48,000. Next, so cross posting. Now your joint bank account is debited. So in joint bank account credit side, by joint venture account. How much? 48,000. Now, and his expenses were rupees 13,000. Expenses estage 13,000. So expense na yaar payment madbeku? Private source, nothing but Das only. So here the expenses is so much 13,000. This 13,000 should be met through private source, nothing but Das, to Das account. So here Das account is debited. So in Das account make credit entry by joint venture in Das. How much? 13,000. Now the second transaction is over. Now come to third transaction. Boss purchased rupees 21,000 worth of material. So in the problem they only said purchases were paid from bank account. ಏನಾದರೂ ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಯಾರು ಪೇ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ? ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಪೇ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. So here boss purchased 21,000 worth of material. So ಯಾರು ಪೇ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ? Joint bank. So this is an expenses in joint venture account to joint bank. How much? 21,000. Now cross posting. So joint bank account is debited. So in joint bank account credit side by joint venture account. How much? 21,000. Now the next one, his expenses were rupees 11,000. So expenses were made from private source. So expense alla yaar pay madbeku? Private source nalla pay madbeku and not from bank account. So this expenses is how much? The expenses is 11,000 paid from private source. Private source nothing but boss only. So in joint venture account, what's the expenses? The expenses is rupees 11,000. So this 11,000 expenses paid by boss to boss. So now cross posting. Here boss account is debited. Now make a credit entry in opposite direction. So here you can write by joint venture boss 11,000. So instead of writing 2 times, already here Das account is credited, boss account nil ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಇವಾಗ ಏನು ಮಾಡಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಜಾಯಿಂಟ್ ವೆಂಚರ್ ಅಂತ ಬರೆದು ಬಾಸ್ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ಗೆ 11,000 ಬರೆಯೋ ಬದಲು ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಬಾಸ್ ಕಾಲಮಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಪೇಸ್ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಬರ್ರಿ. ಸೊ ಬಾಸ್ ಈಸ್ 11,000 ಈಸ್ ಡೆಬಿಟೆಡ್, ಹಿಯರ್ ಬಾಸ್ 11,000 ಈಸ್ ಕ್ರೆಡಿಟೆಡ್. 11,000 ಈಸ್ ಕ್ರೆಡಿಟೆಡ್. This transaction is over. Now come to the fourth transaction. What's the fourth transaction? Boss sold 600 kg of item at rupees 100 per kg, rupees 60,000. Boss ಏನು ಮಾಡಿದಾನೆ? ಸೇಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾನೆ. ಎಷ್ಟು ಸೇಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾನೆ? rupees 60,000 worth of goods. So boss sold 60,000 worth of goods and his expenses is rupees 5,500. And there is an adjustment in the problem, that is all the sale proceeds were deposited into joint bank account. ಸೊ ಏನೇ ಸೇಲ್ ಮಾಡಲಿ ಬಂದಿರೋ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ನ ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಬ್ಯಾಂಕಿಗೆ ಹಾಕಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಸೇಲ್ ಇಸ್ ಎ ಇನ್ಕಮ್. ಸೊ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡೆಡ್ ಇನ್ ಜಾಯಿಂಟ್ ವೆಂಚರ್ ಅಕೌಂಟ್. ಹೌ ಮಚ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್? So the boss sold 60,000 worth of goods. So 60,000 is the sale. So 60,000 is the income. So here 60,000. And in adjustment, in a problem, they only clearly specified that all the sale proceeds should be deposited into joint bank. So sale ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಹಾಕಬೇಕು, ಜಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕಿಗೆ ಹಾಕಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಸೇಲ್ ಮಾಡೋ ಮುಂದೆ ಯಾರು ರಿಸೀವ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಜಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್, ಬೈ ಜಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್. Now cross posting, joint bank is credited. So in joint bank account, debit side to joint venture account. How much? 60,000. Now his selling expenses were rupees 5,500. So this is the expenses. So and the expenses were met through private source, because they only said that expenses were met from private source. So how much expenses? Expenses is 5,500. So in joint venture account, expenditure side 5,500, and these expenses met from private source. A private source means boss. So boss expenses is how much? 5,500. So to boss. Now cross posting. So boss account is debited. So here boss account should be credited by joint venture account. How much? Boss 5,500. So fourth transaction is over. Now the last transaction. Das sold 8,000 kg of second item at rupees 5 per kg. How much? Rupees 40,000. So here Das sold 40,000 worth of goods. So this is a sale and this will be an income. So income should be deposited into joint bank, because they only said all the sale proceeds were deposited into joint bank account. So here again by joint bank. How much? 40,000. 40,000. The cross posting, joint bank is credited. Here joint bank should be debited. So to joint venture 40,000, and his expenses is rupees 6,000, and expenses were made through private source. So expenses so much? 6,000. Expenses is 6,000, and these expenses were made through private source. So to Das 6,000. Now cross entry, Das account, cross posting, Das is debited. Now you have to make an credit entry for Das. So here opposite side by joint venture. So Das is space ಇದೆ, ಇಲ್ಲೇ fill ಮಾಡಿ. So Das is so much? 6,000. Now you treated all the transactions. Now make balance of ledger account one by one. First make balance of joint venture account. So joint venture account is balanced for 1,04,500 both the side, and here credit side is shortage of rupees 4,500. So this will be treated as loss by loss on joint venture account. So this is the balancing figure B bar F. Now loss should be distributed to co-venturers Das and Boss. So Das will be 2,700 because the profit and loss ratio is 3:2. So 2700, and for boss 1800. Now joint venture account is over. Now cross posting. So here DAS and boss is credited. So make a debit entry for DAS and boss. So 2700 for DAS and 1800 for boss. So two joint venture account. Now make balance of co-venture account. So here co-venture account is balanced for 59,000 for DAS, 56,500 for boss, and the balance figure for DAS will be 59,000 minus 2,700, so 56,300, and for boss 56,500 minus 1,800, so 54,700 for boss. This will be the balancing figure. So 2. So this is the final settlement made to DAS and boss. DAS ಮತ್ತು boss ಗೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗಿರೋ final settlement for DAS 56,300, for boss 54,700. So who will make final settlement? Again joint bank. So joint bank balancing figure. So now cross posting, joint bank account is debited. Now make a credit entry in joint bank account. So by DAS by boss. So DAS is 56,300 and boss is 54,700. Now make a balance of joint bank account. So joint bank account is balanced for 1,80,000 in both the side. 1,80,000, and here also 1,80,000. Now the solution is over. The solution is over. This is joint venture account, this is co-venture account, and this is joint bank account. And this is the problem. This is the important transactions. So this is the problem, this is the important transactions, and these are the main two important notes to solve this problem, because here they clearly specified that expenses were met from private source. Any expenses barli aduna private source indane pay ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. Because DAS expenditure agidre DAS pay ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, boss expenditure agidre boss pay ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, and these expenses were not met by bank. bank ಈ expenses ನ meet ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಬರಲ್ಲ. and purchase ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಯಾರು ಪೇ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ? ಜಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಪೇ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ಸೇಲ್ ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ ಯಾರು ರಿಸೀವ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ? ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ರಿಸೀವ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. and ಇಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆನ್ಸಸ್ ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ ಯಾರು ಮೀಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು? ಪ್ರೈವೇಟ್ ಸೋರ್ಸ್ ಮೀಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, and not from ಜಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್. ಸೊ ಈ ಎರಡು ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ನೋಟ್ಸ್ ನ keep in your mind while solving this problem. So here this problem is over. This is 2017 question paper for 14 marks. Okay, thank you students.